Kilo Delta Zero, Uniform Juliet Kilo, and I will be your moderator tonight on the NCARC TechNet. The subject tonight is going to be RF in the shack, and I found an article that I'm going to read real quick, and then after that we can go into discussions. It's not that long of an article. This is from a fellow ham. RF in the shack refers to EM radiation that comes off of the outside of the conductor, usually a coaxial cable. Coaxial cable is actually three conductors: center conductor, inside of the braided shield conductor, outside of the braided shield conductor. Due to the skin effect, RF currents are limited to a thin outer layer of a conductor. This allows for the current to be separate on the inside and outside of the braided shield conductor. Current on the outside of the shield can easily radiate and even act like an antenna. Other conductors that are close to this coaxial cable in the shack are affected, and you can build up a potential that results in RF shocks or burns merely by touching metal objects. When I was a young kid back in 1961 or 62, I had such a strong RF in the shack condition that when I keyed down, I could light up the fluorescent lights hanging from the ceiling. My shack was in the garage. This outer conductive current is known as common mode current and is usually produced from an imbalance in the antenna system. One typical imbalance is connecting coaxial cable directly to a dipole antenna. A dipole antenna is a balanced antenna, and coaxial cable is unbalanced, so that results in currents flowing in common mode on the outside of the shield conductor. The solution to resolve this problem and eliminate the common mode currents is to use a choke ballon between the antenna and the coaxial cable. Alternatively, you can use balanced transmission like such as 450 ohm ladder line, and that can attach in the shack to a balanced load antenna tuner, which then acts like a choke ballon or a current ballon, aka choke, which allows you to then attach coaxial line. If you do use 450 ohm ladder line, you will have a mismatch between the dipole antenna and the transmission line, and this mismatch results in reflections. This is not too much of a problem in itself, since the ladder line is low loss. However, you do have to match this to your transmitting equipment. Nominally, at 50 ohms, which will require a tuned circuit, such as an antenna tuner or coupler circuit. The variable control of an antenna tuner is much nicer to adjust for match at various frequencies or even various bands. For example, I use an 80-meter dipole antenna on bands 80, 40, and 30 meters. Most of my transmission line, about 80 feet, is 450 ohm ladder line, just outside of the shack. It interfaces with the balanced side of a 4-to-1 transforming ballon from DX Engineering, and then coaxial cable, LMR 400. The remaining 15 feet to my CAT 500 Elecraft antenna tuner. Common mode currents radiate, so that this causes preliminary problems resulting in both RF in the shack, but also altered radiation patterns from the interference with the antenna itself. I have modeled this condition using NEC4 mathematical modeling software to observe the actual impact, and in a worse case, although with high power, it can create nulls in your radiation pattern where you don't expect them on the broadside of a dipole antenna in certain physical arrangements of the antenna and the feed line. Okay, that's the end of the article, so we're open for discussion now. Hey, it is KD0UJK. Is there anyone with an opinion or information on RF in the shack?
W2MIC.
Go ahead, Mark.
I emphatically support the use of a one-to-one current balun, comma. The DX engineering devices are excellent, comma. And on any center-fed or off-center-fed dipole. So whether it's a Windom or just a straight half-wave dipole, yes, absolutely, you want a balun on there, and you want it both for patterning, as you pointed out, and for safety.
W0LEV.
Go ahead.
Yeah, relatively good write-up. Succinct, but relatively good. And I note one difference between Mark's comment, which I agree with, and the article. 4-to-1 is the article, 1-to-1 is Mark. I agree, 1-to-1. A 4-to-1 many times will not be a true balun, but a transformer. And a transformer is not a balun. However, that's about it for me. It's a pretty good write-up. Succinct, but good. W0LEV.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. Anybody else got any opinions or information about the RF in the shack? It looks like a quiet night tonight.
Well, I think you're above the heads of most new techs, but needs to be said, and it's a good subject. W0LEV.
I think everybody's trying to get ready for the next storm here in another day and a half or whatever it is. Okay, it's KD0UJK. One more time. Anybody else out there that wants to make any comments or any opinions or anything else concerning RF in the shack? Well, Mark and John, looks like a pretty quiet night. I guess we'll just terminate this net for the night. As nobody else is out there but us three, it seems like.
Or 0 ASP with a late check-in. Several batches of newly minted hams. Boy, I can talk. When in doubt, just ask for questions.
Now, anybody got any questions? They can bring those up too. The last station, repeat your call sign again. I think it was something ATP.
W0 ASP with a late check-in. Sorry, I doubled.
Okay, I got you. Do you have any questions about RF in the shack?
Not really. I fight with it or similar kinds of interference all the time.
Yeah, don't we all from time to time? Just one little thing can be off and cause problems.
Something that many people might realize if I might expound on it.
Well, so I guess we'll terminate this nest for the night. Pretty short.
Double, Terry lost. I think Terry was proposing to expound. Terry, please go ahead.
Yeah, I said, I would like to expound on something about RF in the shack, particularly with regard to digital receivers, if anybody has one of them.
What kind of receiver were you talking about?
Any kind of digital receiver. While they are a remarkable improvement in just about all aspects of radio, the one area in which they fall down, and I think digital modes work the same way, is that they fail spectacularly and almost instantly.
That's interesting. Mark or John, you guys got a opinion about that?
MIC, sorry, I'm in a high noise environment. Were you calling me?
Either you or LEV, if you guys heard what Terry said, something about digital receivers and receivers in general. If you need to, he can probably repeat it again.
Oh, I'm no help. I have no experience with SDRs of any flavor. Well, not really. In fact, I listen to Dave and Terry chat because I take notes for when I grow up and get my own SDRs.
E0CF.
Station calling, was that you, Ben?
Yes, it was. Sorry, didn't have my throat cleared. But anyway, just wanted to mention about, well, not mention, but expand on that digital radio problem. I guess what's not seen is that there should be a error correction type deal that's used in pretty much all all digital signals, and a lot of times if there is this error correction, this number or this data is not shown to the operator because it's like data that's supposed to be thrown away. However, this data should be able to be used to determine pretty much when you drop off the map, when you just can't receive and decode data anymore. That's the E0CF.
That's not what I was talking about, W0ASP.
Since worth in on that one?
Not what I'm talking about, W0ASP.
so many different subjects out there that you can talk about. So yeah, I'm not an expert at the RF in the shack either, but you know.
Yeah, most of the occupants of the repeater or technicians, RF in the shack doesn't relate to them because they don't know what it is. If you operate HF, chances are you've run into it yourself, but it's really an HF phenomena. And a comment is, if you have a good antenna, you better have RF in the shack or it's not radiating. But the antenna better be happy. That is, it all should be there. If you got RF in the shack, the antenna is trying to find a sync or complement to what the antenna is trying to radiate. If the whole antenna is there like a dipole and it's properly fed, decoupled with the balun up at the feed point, so on and so forth, yeah, you'll have radiated RF in the shack, but you won't get RF burns because the whole antenna's there. W0LEV.
Yeah, W0LEV, thanks for your comments. Good information. Something to think about and make sure when you have your antenna there that you have all the parts to it so you don't get any of those RF burns or anything. Anybody else?
Unfortunately, it's going to be short net because we don't have anybody but technicians listening. W0LEV.
Yeah, pretty much what it sounds like. Not a whole lot of people here tonight.
I was trying to bring up the related topic of analog to digital converter overload, W0ASP.
Go ahead, AFP.
Partly related to RF in the shack, as
This presentation was brought to you by the Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.